purpose of Freethought Forum is to be vigilant to the encroachment of religion into government and to educate the general public as to what a freethinker is.
My thoughts give me power.
No scholar can map them.
No hunter can trap them. No person can deny. Die Gedanken sind frei. No person can deny. Die Gedanken sind frei.
I think as I...
Hi, welcome to Freethought Forum. My name is Jeff Levan, and I'll be talking today with Camille Russell, and we'll be discussing the Atheist Myth and some misconceptions some people may have about atheists or non-believers or agnostics, however you want to phrase a non-theistic viewpoint. As you know, we're sponsored by the Freedom from Religion Foundation, and we'd like to first start off with a few definitions of atheism, agnosticism, etc. And I'd like to start out by saying that the dictionary defines atheism as being not having a belief, or a non-belief, not believing in a supernatural world, a deity specifically. And agnosticism is more of a not knowing. It comes from the Latin root
G-N-O-S,
which is
know.
nos. Yes.
And it means to not know, to not presume.
And I'd like to say that free thought is sort of, both of these fall into the category of free thought and free thinking. And it's a term that was used around the turn of the century quite widely to express also a liberal type of belief, such as deism, which is a belief in some form of creative force early on in the creation of the world and having no idea what it is. Deism pretty much says that each man can decide for himself. All of these can fall under free thought. And mainly what we're concerned with are church-state issues and education of people so that they don't go around thinking that atheism is synonymous with anarchism, for instance. We're going to discuss a couple of the myths. One of the first ones I'd like to discuss is one that I'm always asked right off the bat whenever anyone says, "Oh, you're an atheist." The second thing they almost always ask me is, well, how do you get your morals? I'm sure you've run across this also in trying to describe your religious views.
Well, on the morality issue on atheism, I've seen more immorality under religious frontage than any other system out there. Most wars are fought because of religion.
It's even going on today, of course. We see that over in Palestine, things that are going over there with Israel.
And Nicaragua.
Yes.
Every political problem can be put down to a religious background at some point. That's rather a sweeping generalization, and I do not want to generalize so broadly. But as far as the moral problem with atheism, there isn't one. I think that in order for civilization to survive, that there are natural laws that people must respect: cooperation, productivity. It's basically the golden rule.
Exactly, yes, which was adopted, of course, from previous beliefs.
If you kill,
religion.
You risk the chance of being killed. If you lie, you will be lied to. It's the Bible calls it what you sow, so shall you reap. Common sense says for every action, that is the first law of thermodynamics, for every action there is a reaction. And I consider myself a moral human being. I really do try to not discomfort other human beings or cause them any distress. I greatly enjoy causing them confusion enough to where they would seek an answer or to educate themselves. People like to bury their heads in the sand because it's more comfortable.
It's easy to say, God said so I must follow this mandate because your answers are already spelled out for you in a book somewhere.
Right. God works in mysterious ways. You know, that's a pat answer.
It's been abused so much, especially when I see things like there's an accident and someone is spared and the rest of the people all
That
die.
one has always gotten me. Well, you know, why did God let the guy's house in the middle, you know, burn up?
Exactly.
Sort of situation.
I might add also that a lot of the ethical philosophers, a great many, most of the ethical philosophers, as a matter of fact, are atheistic or agnostic. Even Thomas Aquinas started out with doubting the existence of God. Of course, as a monk, of course, a priest, he came to the conclusion rather swiftly that there was, and he started that out with one of his basic premises. But of course, you know, he still uses his mind, he uses his reason, and I think that's what we all have to do. You can't just accept something that's written in a book.
A lot of
Say,
religious credos as they exist today deny your ability to reason. They deny you the power of the brain you were born with. And you're supposed to believe this credo that is oftentimes immoral. What's immoral to me is trying to impose one's values on someone else, someone's beliefs on someone else. I'm not trying to, even in this forum, I'm not trying to make someone that's happy believing into a free thinker. But I will say,
hope.
I will say I have the right to utter my views and to be considered a moral, productive human being without going to church every Sunday and taking ultimate responsibility for my actions.
I think that makes a person more moral, in my viewpoint.
Of course it does. It's like the tough love when you have a person that's not living up to their end of the bargain and you enable them. In a lot of ways, religion is a great enabler. It enables people to delegate personal morality to someone else. It enables them to look the other way, to blame all of their ills or their shortcomings on God or their makeup or what have you. Religion enables a lot of negative things. It also enables some good things, but I don't think that it is necessary to be a good human being.
Not necessary to have a creed of religion to be moral. Also, if you turn it around, you would have to say that if some people propose, they say, well, atheists are immoral. Well, if you turn it around, then you would say that believers are then moral.
That's a
not
syllogism
true.
that doesn't work.
It doesn't work. And it's one of the good ways to show that it isn't a pat answer to the question of morality, what your belief is. And I might add also, all religions in the world tend to have some of the same things, and I think it springs from our human experience. Be good to one another, as you said, the golden rule. Not to cause suffering. This is a major thing in Buddhism, not to cause suffering. The main difference where they break down is not in how we treat each other, but in how we view what some people believe is the next world. Some people believe there's another world and want to live for that next world and ignore this one. I prefer to do my good deeds in this world, and if there be another world,
I have no proof there's another world. No one's
I have
ever
no
died and come
inclination
back
at
to
all.
tell about it.
That's true.
So,
We have
although
no
a lot of
evidence.
people out there allege they have, I personally have no experience with that.
The National Enquirer would probably differ with you on Elvis and a few other people. But moving on, a second thing that we've noticed are that people say that atheists are unhappy, and that some people have accused me of saying, well, you have no reason to live if you're an atheist because you have nothing to look forward to.
How about the present? That's one of the ironies of theism, is that you don't live in the present. You live in some purported future that you have no control of, that's not yours.
The idea of passing through this world, as so many Christians like to put it.
I never knew such personal happiness until the day I lost God. And took responsibility for myself. And when I shut my eyes at night, I'm the one I have to answer to. And there is no big boogeyman in the sky. I know when I have done hurtful things. I'm aware of that. But as I became skeptic over the years and decided that this made no sense. And I have this brain that operates on logic, and I can't figure out why I'm supposed to not use that. And that why most of the religious beliefs thrown at me defy logic. We are sent to school to learn and to think for ourselves, and the minute we do, bingo, hush, shut up. They don't want you talking about things that are uncomfortable or that make them think. And the whole point is to think and to use this brain that has evolved over time from beating on rocks with stones and crude instruments to manufacturing fine technology. It is a great responsibility.
We're the masters of our own destiny, and we have to accept responsibility of that, especially in the nuclear age with our situation. I'm not comfortable, I don't want to criticize certain higher officials in our government, but I'm not comfortable with someone who wants to say that if a person believes there's a next life and does not want to deal with the problems in this life, if he believes that there is another world to go to after we blow this one up, I'm not comfortable with a person like that.
I think this personifying God stuff has got to stop. The way he's purported right now, he's got a beard and he hangs out in heaven and he's quite nasty. If you read the Old Testament, he's rather vicious. Wanting to sacrifice Isaac.
Amongst others, many others.
Oh.
Animal sacrifices, many. The book, the Old Testament is full of many barbaric things, which a lot of Christians try to gloss over by saying, well, this is all cleared up by the New Testament. Of course, we know that the New Testament, if you'll read it, says that Jesus came to support every bit of the Old Testament. And I believe in many ways there's a lot of people who would like to have that kind of situation. It's very black-white. Many of the fundamentalists would like to say everything is, you're either for God or against God. Not necessarily so. You can also be without a belief in any kind of God.
But that involves philosophical thinking, which is...
Yeah, we could spend several other shows. And we will do some shows on biblical criticism and interviews with people who may be of a certain faith and question their beliefs. One of the things that, speaking of beliefs and the dichotomy of good and evil, many people will throw this at you, that you're an agent of the devil. Of course, it's absurd, because how can you be an agent of something? If you don't believe in God, it follows that you do not believe in the story of Satan or the devil, etc. I don't believe there's someone responsible for every bad deed, and I don't believe that, for instance, Jimmy Swaggart I don't believe the devil whispered in his ear to make him do that. The man has something within him personally that he has to deal with. Do you know what I'm saying? It's very easy for him to say, well, the devil made me do it. I feel that's
I believe a comedian of the 60s was very famous for that.
Yes, the Church of What's Happening Now.
If God is good, why did he create this devil that makes us kill little children, starve them to death, not use our resources properly, trash our rivers, trash our planet? That's not a good God.
It's an excuse. It's convenient.
Well, religion has historically been a tool of political control.
Yes.
And that control, even in our country, or especially in our country, try and win an election and not be a card-carrying member of a Christian faith.
Yes.
But political control, it's so unobvious to so many people. They don't see it as the tool that it is for controlling the masses. Was it Marx that said it's the opiate of the masses?
I believe it was.
That doggy don't hunt. It defies logic. People have no control over their lives when they turn it over to a deity. It is your turn to finish this discussion.
And what's one of the dangers of fundamentalism, I believe?
Fundamentalism,
it's a
be
cult.
it Shiite Muslim, what have you.
Yes, and this brings us to something else. You had mentioned political control, something else that Freedom from Religion is interested in as a group, and myself and you specifically, is intervening into our personal freedoms, which this country is unique in that we support individual freedom of conscience. And I like to say also, I support the right of every person who is a Christian, Muslim, to practice their faith, as long as it doesn't intervene in my life. I don't want people passing out literature to my children or myself, unless I wish to have it. And I don't want someone proselytizing their religion in the public schools, for instance, which many people, fundamentalists nowadays, feel that, and some pressure groups feel that this is a prime area for us to...
I think it's important that we get it across that we're not trying to deny somebody
No, definitely not.
The right to pray to St. Anthony if they lose their car keys. I personally would like to think, well, where did I leave them last? That makes more sense.
And who gets
to me.
credit when you find them as part of it?
Well, I don't think God is out there playing Uri Geller, moving your car keys around to some place where you'll later find them. That's hype. That's ridiculous. But if someone wants to do that, if it makes them feel better, that's fine. However, I don't want them shoving that view on me. I would rather use my logic, the good sense that I'm not going to say God gave me. I'm going to say that I was born with.
Mm-hmm.
We need to fulfill our potential without turning it over to a deity.
With the schools also, there is a push on now by a group called Youth Invasion Ministries, which I've heard of.
Dangerous.
And they mean what they say. They are interested in going against, they believe, what is the secular institution of our public schools, and rather than take care of their own business and raise their children as they'd see fit in a private school or whatever, they seem to feel that there's a great need to teach religion, push religion on the public schools, which is the other people who may be non-believers or believers in a different faith and such. This group has done things like encourage the Gideons to distribute Bibles in school, which is against a Supreme Court ruling in 1954. And this is going on now. As a matter of fact, this has happened. One of our members, who is a school teacher, has had a conflict in the school, and they just rode roughshod over his rights. He made them aware that there was a constitutional decree against it.
Does he have a job?
He was leaving anyway, and we don't know if he's going to take any action from it. Of course, we'd encourage anything that would stop that kind of thing. I can't imagine giving Bibles to students who are like in 5th grade or 4th grade. If they're, in the first place, if the child does not have access to a Bible at home or has not been given one at home, it's probably because his parents do not want them to be taught under that system.
I personally do not believe in the deprivation of any book, be it the Bible.
No, I would
or
not
anything.
ban it from like the school library. That's a separate issue. That's a voluntary thing. However, I can imagine the eyebrows raised if I were to go in and try to distribute a few books by Bertrand Russell or Madeleine Murray O'Hare, for instance. I can just imagine how much freedom of...
I wonder who would get burned
I would
first,
have.
you or the books. I think that
We know what the
a
answer
point
was
that
in the
needs to
past.
be raised, excuse me, is the people that have their religious beliefs do not understand that their religious beliefs are threatened every time they try to take our lack of religious belief
That's
away
true.
from us. You have to have freedom from religion to have freedom of religion.
It's one of the things this country is founded upon. And one of the things I'd like to mention while we're talking about countries, and you had mentioned a quote of Karl Marx's, I thought we'd bring up appropriately the other myth that atheists are communist. Now, you can reverse that one and say that that the communists do have a credo of atheism in their government. However, I am not a communist in any sense of the word. I am foursquare for American way of doing things in capitalism. I realize that there are some social issues, and we can go on and on with
Capitalism is basically an economic evolution, and that it's survival of the fittest.
Yes, in many senses. And I also like to say that I'm sure there are some atheists who are communists. I have never met any atheist who has professed to be a communist. I've met liberal atheists. I have met atheists who are very right-wing, very much believers in the capitalist system, and I think that's a separate issue. Your politics is separate from your belief or non-belief.
I disagree. I think that one can't divorce politics from one's beliefs. That's why I do not want the clergy in public office.
Well, everything, of course, is intertwined. I wouldn't be comfortable, let's put it this way, I was comfortable with Jimmy Carter's stance and his personal beliefs and how they affected his decisions. I don't believe we were in any danger of a fundamentalist state. However, were we to
Jimmy
have...
Carter was an intellectual, though, and that's why...
Were we to have Pat Robertson as a president, or if he ever made a serious bid, became vice president or something, I think you would see some definite changes in the laws, and I think for the worse for this country and the ideals we were founded on.
One thing I'd like to address is some feminist issues that automatically arise out of the notion of atheism or agnosticism. The Bible has historically subjugated women. All religions, for the most part, have been patriarchies. What I can't understand is why women allow this to go on and they do not fight back. Not all women want to be barefoot and pregnant in the kitchen. We were not all born without brains. We were all not born to be exploited. But frequently, a lot of women's own worst enemies are other women. For example, Phyllis Schlafly, an educated lawyer, who would prefer to see the family, in her way of seeing it, reunited, being mommy's in the kitchen cooking dinner, pregnant out to here with 3 kiddos underneath her feet. That, to me, is a direct result of fundamentalist Christianity saying that a woman is property, that she has no rights of her own, that she doesn't have any control over her own fate, that she doesn't have the sense to control her life or her ambitions. That is a travesty and an insult. To me, the idea of the virgin birth is appalling. The idea of the Immaculate Conception is appalling. You give Mary the pain of childbirth, you give her the pain of pregnancy, and I will tell anyone out there that it's not a picnic. And I am a mother. I do have a child, and I love him dearly. And I don't want him to ever inflict this kind of belief on another woman. But you give her that, but then you take away the so-called joys of the bedroom. That is not fair. That is not right. Women have been denied places in the clergy. They are incapable of administering a sacrament. That to me is the height of immorality. That is the ultimate bigotry. When you take half the human population and say you ain't good enough.
Because God says so, is what they would say. Like the Catholic Church, I view some of the changes in the Catholic Church like some of the new wave of Catholicism in the United States, where women are giving sacraments such in violation of what the Roman Catholic Church says, as another example of, as you were saying, for the example of evolution of thought. We have people, I think, as humanity increases, as we become more and more humane, as we advance our ideas and intellect, religion is taking a smaller and smaller role. And the backlash against that is some of the fundamentalist movements, such as the youth invasion ministries, talking about people who fear that they're going to be giving up all control of their life, which, of course, Freethought is trying to tell them exactly the opposite, that they do have control of their life and give them the freedom to live their life as they see fit.
Let's go back to the myth of freethinkers being being amoral.
Mm-hmm.
That is something we really need to deal with. Freethinkers have the ultimate morality because they have the consequences. They deal with what their behavior causes.
As a philosophy, of course, we can't say that just because someone is a freethinker, then therefore they're also a good person. There are good and bad people that hold good and bad views all over. You'll find many Christians in jail, and you'll find atheists in jail, and you'll find atheists in government and Christians in government. You'll find many atheists in government that are professed atheists, but you will find. That is true. I think the issue of morality has nothing to do, but as a system, as a belief system, of course, I believe that Freethought is much superior to the idea of subjugating your will to
in that it's not a system,
invisible.
It is a constant uncovering, constant discovering.
but the value of allowing one's own thoughts, one to think their own
It's
thoughts.
giving oneself the credit to think for oneself. So, what was the...
Oh, the last one that I had to mention was that you've heard the saying, there's no atheists in foxholes. Well, I would like to, anyone who has that belief would have difference with some members of the Freedom from Religion Foundation and other atheists who've been through the war and seen terrible atrocities. Indeed, I think that if we, it's quite possible that if there were less religion, there would be less wars, and therefore less foxholes in the first place.
Well said. Well said.
Just like to say a few more things. Our group, we're starting a chapter here in San Antonio, and of course we're looking for all the membership we can get, people that agree with our philosophies and our ideas, and of course willing to have their own and willing to let us do our own
No books
thinking.
burned at these meetings.
Yes, that's true. No books burned at this meeting. And of course, as we're looking for members and such, we'd like you to contact us. And as this being our first show of the Freethought Forum, we'd like to ask you, we will have an address on the screen that you can write to. This is the address of the National Office of Freedom from Religion Foundation. And we will soon have, as our chapter grows, a address here that you can write to in San Antonio. And I'd like to encourage people to get their questions ready, because even Christians or believers, I'd like to know what questions they have of atheists. It cannot hurt for them to know our position or our minds better.
There is a point we need to make. Not all atheists are arrogant. They're not all offensive. They're not all abrasive.
You may even like some of us. Okay. Other than that, we'll run the run the address and such. As I said before, I'd like you to send your questions to us. Please don't send us any
No
letter
burning
bombs.
crosses in our yards. Or...
No, we can see enough of that anytime we wish on a Sunday. And if you feel like there's a question you'd like to ask or something you'd like to say to us other than just the same old biblical criticism that we've had before, you know, of you're going to hell, etc., we don't need that. Feel free to send it. You know, you're free to think whatever you like.
We will defend your right to say whatever you want.
That's
to
true.
believe whatever you want, and that's the ultimate thing here, is the liberty, the freedom to believe whatever you want to believe.
That's right. And I'd like to close with a quote from Thomas Jefferson, and this is central to our thinking. He said that the price of freedom is eternal vigilance. Thank you for being with Freethought Forum today. Hope you look forward to seeing our shows in the future. And, this is Jeff Levan and Camille Russell saying goodbye for now, and we'll see you next time.
I think as I please, and this gives me pleasure.
My conscience decrees, this right I must treasure.
My thoughts will not cater
To duke or dictator, no person can deny. Die Gedanken sind frei.